Hi, this is Bart with the Bicycle Rider, and I'm here to give a quick review on the 2019 Marin Rift Zone 2. And this is a bike that I've been riding for several months now, and I've put it through a lot of different trail situations, cross-country situations, and even some hairier downhill situations. And this bike has really proven itself to be a fantastic riding bike at a fantastic value. And just a quick story on this bike is, I do a lot of test riding for different companies to test out products and do reviews. And this is one of those bikes that after a test ride I decided I wanted to buy myself to ride this year. And it really has done a fantastic job of letting me, for one, save some money. I was planning on spending a lot more than $2,000 on a bike, and after riding this bike I realized I didn't have to do that. This bike pretty much fit the bill of what I wanted out of this summer's riding season. And basically, I do a lot of riding in the south where speed is key, and this is Marin's pretty speedy platform here. It's a longer bike with a little bit of rake. It's low, bottom bracket's low, so it keeps this bike very stable at high speeds. With the multi-track suspension system that Marin has come up with, it gives me a lot of control, but it also absorbs a lot of the trail characteristics that I prefer not to have go through my body and my neck and my back. I'm almost 50 years old, and I've been riding mountain bikes for over 30 years, competitively racing for over 20 years, and I am on the Cat 1 level. I don't personally race this bike in Cat 1, but I don't think that's what this bike was designed for. This bike, it even says it on the frame here. It says made for fun. So the way this bike flows and lets me ride all day long. I just took my helmet off. I'm still here in the woods. So I just did 25.9 miles at close to 14 miles an hour average speed on this bike. So this bike has let me keep up with the group. This is Labor Day. It's Monday. There's a lot of guys out here riding, and there's a lot of fast guys out here riding. And part of what I like to do is ride hard and be part of the lead group, and this bike lets me do that. So if you have a group of riders on your local trail that you want to keep up with, and you want to do it comfortably, the Marin Rift Zone might be a real good choice for you. And there's a lot of fantastic bikes out on the market nowadays, but it's hard to find them at the $2,000 price mark. Most of the bikes I was riding with today, they probably start at $4,000, so that's double what this is. And I know, there's a couple bikes that are over $10,000 out there. And I don't really talk money when it comes to mountain biking, because it can seem expensive. But if you know how much fun mountain biking is, it's really a small price to pay for what you get out of it. So just know that $2,000 is kind of on the beginning end of what a mountain bike will cost you nowadays, especially with a full suspension mountain bike. And a lot of people get into mountain bike and they get a hardtail because they hear that that's good enough. But you don't see those guys out here on a weekly basis, the guys with the hardtail, because they're getting beat up, or they buy a hardtail for their wife because they don't want to spend as much money as they spend on their bike. And the wife rides it once or twice and they give up on it, because the hardtail is pretty harsh. It's different if you're on a real smooth trail or something, but how many mountain bike trails are really smooth anymore? If you think about it, people say our trails out here in South Mississippi are smooth. Those are people that might not be going back to where the trail really gets rooty, and the roots out here will beat the snot out you. I just rode this bike almost 26 miles, and I'm getting ready to go for another lap. And of course, we did have some guys out here, some really fast little hardtails, and I'm not knocking them, because those bikes are fast, and when you're on the Cat 1 level, you see a lot of hardtails hitting the podium. But how many people really are looking for that type of ride just to get a little speed? You're really beating yourself up. And they built compliance into a lot of these little hardtails nowadays, but the compliance is nothing like what you're going to get out of a shock, you know, something that's made to actually compress. So this is a 120 millimeter front suspension, 120 millimeter rear suspension. So, you know, you can build all the compliance you want into a frame, but you're not going to get 120 millimeters out of it. And 120 millimeters is not a huge suspension, and it's not light. It's kind of a sweet spot right in the middle where you have enough to go over some big roots or launch off a couple big jumps and or ledges, and you're not bottoming out. Yet it's still stiff enough and light enough that you can flow on a fast, you know, flowy trail. You know, I was keeping up with those guys with the hardtails today, and I was doing it with a smile on my face where, you know, I saw a couple guys, we took multiple loops out here, and, you know, some of those guys loaded up their bikes and the pickup trucks and head home after, you know, the first 15 miles. And I think, you know, if I looked at the ratio, you know, most of those guys are probably on hardtails. I'm not knocking a hardtail. I'm just saying for a normal everyday rider, I'm 50 years old and I work a regular day job. And when I go to work on Monday, I don't want my wrist to be sore, and I don't want my neck to be sore, and I don't want my back to be sore. And this bike will let me ride, you know, all weekend long and still go ride with the group on Wednesday nights and then be back out here on the weekend again. I don't have a problem with body fatigue riding this bike, you know, so I might be carrying just a little bit of extra weight as far as suspension, but it's not enough to say I want to go get a hardtail. I mean, I even have a full suspension, full carbon fiber race bike that I hardly even ride anymore because this bike here rides so good. Just real quickly, it's about a $2,000 bike. You're getting a SRAM 11-speed NX drivetrain system that works fantastic. I've put this bike through its paces and for several months, and I haven't had a problem shifting. Haven't had a problem braking. We've got a nice Shimano hydraulic brake system on it. RockShox Recon 2019 model that's been revamped. RockShox Debonair rear suspension. You got a Tranex dropper seat post that comes on this bike stock, so with a lever here, so it works smooth and flawless. I set it up several months ago, a couple thousand months ago, and I haven't had to adjust anything. I really love having that suspension seat post. I did put on an aftermarket set of rims, but that's just because, you know, I'm doing some testing on these Crank Brothers rims, and I like this bike so much that I didn't want to have to ride a different bike just to test these rims. But the rims that come with this bike are a really nice, you know, wide rim, and, you know, now those rims are still brand new, basically. So, you know, when I put this bike up for sale at the end of the year, someone's going to get a new set of rims. The tires that come on this bike are a V Crown Gem, and I've had a lot of people ask me about them. I love the way they ride. They seem to roll really good, but yet I've got confidence when I come into the corners that these tires just stick and go. And I've got to say that the Crown Gems have done me really good. So overall, you know, you could look at the specs on this bike, and I don't want to take up too much time on the video. Another important part is this FSA Comet crank set. It does come with a mega tooth front chain ring, so we're talking 1x. You don't have to swap anything out. You know, everybody's going 1x now, and this bike comes 1x. So really, out of the box stock, this bike rides fantastic. It lets you keep up with the front group. It lets you do it comfortably, and it does it at a price point that is extremely fair for everything you're getting on this bike. I liked it so much, I bought it, and I'm riding it, and I'm pretty much the only mountain bike that I'm riding right now. So just know that the aluminum frame is really nicely machined. When you look at it, you can tell there's been a lot of quality put into the frame design. I think the engineering has a lot to do with it. They just got it right. You know, you get a lot of bikes at the $2,000 price point, and really there's not a lot of bikes at the $2,000 price point with this much to it. But, you know, some of them maybe just don't ride right. Well, Marin has hit this one right. And I think if you look at a lot of the reviews online and maybe some that you'll see on YouTube or video reviews, I don't think you're going to see a lot bad on this bike. For the value and for what you're getting, and, you know, for the ride feel it gives you, I don't think there's a better bike for the money. You know, I've had some comments on some other videos that the Boss Nut and some other models are good, but, you know, I'm here in the United States and we don't have a Boss Nut dealer, I don't think, here. So for what I can get my hands on readily, and you know, still have a warranty with, and not having to worry about shipping something back to Europe or something. You know, this bike really does good. It's rock solid. I put it through its paces. I ride really hard and really fast, and you know, I haven't had problem one with this bike. So I would imagine that this, you know, it's not a unique situation here. This bike is just robust. It's kind of built like a brick shit house, yet it's fast and flowy, lets you keep speed, and it doesn't beat you up. Thumbs up to the 2019 Marin Rift Zone. Any questions on this bike, just leave me a comment. I'd be glad to answer. Thank you.